I'm a man who believed that I died 20 years ago, and I live like a man who is dead already. I have no fear whatsoever of anybody or anything.
Gary Webb. I am an investigative journalist, and in 1996 I wrote a series of stories entitled Dark Alliance, which was about CIA involvement in drug trafficking.
I knew a man who once said death smiles at us all. All a man can do is smile back.
We've both been skull and bone, the secret society.
It's so secret we can't talk about
What does that mean for America? The conspiracy theorists are going to go on.
I'm sure they are. I don't know. I haven't seen the rest.
Number 322.
I sad duty to report this afternoon that my friend and colleague, Tim Russert, collapsed and died early this afternoon.
I may die in this cell tonight or in the arena tomorrow. I'm a slave. What possible difference can I make?
And no official of my administration, whether his rank is high or low, civilian or military, should interpret my words here tonight as an excuse to censor the news, to stifle dissent, to cover up our mistakes, or to withhold from the press and the public the facts they deserve to know.
What the fuck is up? Welcome to another Already Dead, your favorite call-in conspiracy variety show. Today we are joined by the Big Red himself, Andy Malafarina. Also, I forgot to mention Austin, my co-host. Here we are, dude. We're at a point where now, like, the list of topics that I put in the chat this week, it was like all just like current event stuff and stuff I don't even really have to put a spin on. You're just like, yo, dog. Look at this shit. And the funny thing is, it's like conspiracy shows and, like, say my other show, like Tower Gang, like irreverent humor. It's like both. Like, I can literally take all these same topics and bring them to my show tomorrow, and we'll just as easily cover them. Right. So that's the state of the world right now. So pleasure to have you with us, Andy.
Happy to be here, bro. I'm honored. These are two of my you two of my favorite podcasters. I listen to Jose for the conversation. I listen to Austin to have panic attacks at Walmart.
Stop it, dude.
No, legitimately. I was at Walmart doing my grocery shopping, listening to you talk about some Satanist sacrifice kids, and I was like, I gotta pause this. I gotta figure out what eggs to buy.
Dude, I just started reading. I don't know if you've read it, Austin, but it'd be something that you'd like. And I say like in a weird way. It's the Eye of the Chicken Hawk, I think is what it's called.
Dude, I bought it just recently.
I've heard of that. What is that?
I got like through like the I think the prologue or maybe the begin like maybe like 5 pages. Then I look a couple times. I just be like,
It's so fucking crazy, man.
Yeah, that was for those who aren't aware. It's essentially some dude who took it upon himself to do fucking parapolitics research into like kind of tracking pedophilia networks, kind of tying things in like John Wayne Gacy, North Fox Island, which I don't know if you've heard of that. I think I've heard of North Fox Island like once, but not like not too deep. I don't remember where I heard it, but it's the one where it's like literally like a rich person's like island that's kind of their own little perfect little middle of nowhere where kids can come and we'll fuck them and trade them around and whatever, like a bunch of dastardly rich people that like I think it got busted legit in like the 70s, like so it's not even like a sub conspiracy. I need to look into that one more because they're like, what the fuck? Like it was like basically Epstein's Island but like off the coast of somewhere in the States.
I gotta do those in chunks. Not like, and I mean they probably do them in chunks too, but I gotta do like researching that researching.
I bet you that's a subtype, but they call the fat ones chunks.
Yeah. Yeah, they're like, what do you?
Like, oh my god, can you imagine the terminology? You know, gays have their terminology, bears, otters, whatever the fuck. Like,
what do you want tonight, Bill? Oh, I'll take a chunk. But no, I was
chocolate chunk.
Yeah, I was like reading Program to Kill and stuff like that, and then it just like hit me, and I was like, maybe Maybe the ones, because it's like you read that stuff and you pair it with like, remember when like Me Too was going crazy and you found out, you're like, oh, every band I've ever liked has fucked a kid and all that stuff. And you start realizing, you're like, am I the weird one for having sex with adults? Like,
Oh my god.
you're like, is everyone else? I was like, I feel like there's a lot more people trying to fuck kids out there than I ever fucking guessed.
It's crazy, man.
Yeah,
And
it's
on-
a
to
lot
that
of information to fucking take in. Sorry.
brother. To that point, I mean, you know how I've referenced like this detective James Rothstein, who like largely, investigated human trafficking networks and child sex trafficking in like the late 60s in upstate New York. And he was like involved with military intelligence and like knew a lot of the Op 40 guys because he was also involved with Op 40 and the first ships being diverted to Cuba. Interesting shit. But anyway, I referenced how he has said that he and his colleagues basically their conclusion through their investigations were that over 70% of the United States elected representatives are compromised by sexual blackmail. And then I was just doing my most recent episode about the Kincora Boys Home in East Belfast in Northern Ireland. And holy shit, dude. I found one of the victims described this technique they used where MI6 would basically, these children had been groomed through all these different care homes since they were like 5 years old, right? To be like little intelligence operatives, not just little sex puppets, but legitimately used in little operations where they would take them down to like the Europa Hotel and in Belfast, and this prominent politicians would be staying there, whatever, MPs, whatever. They not only had rooms, well, they had an operations room, MI5 did, there, that was surveilling these bedrooms where various individuals involved in the network would lure people back to these bedrooms where these child prostitutes would be. And then not only that, they had this technique called the elevator trick where these prominent individuals, they didn't necessarily even have to have committed like crimes against children. They could just have, for example, one of the victims was told to go up to the 4th floor and wait for the prominent individual to leave their room and go to utilize the elevator, and then get in the elevator with the prominent individual, take it down to the lobby. When you leave the elevator and exit the elevator on the lobby ground floor, the child prostitute would brush shoulders with the prominent individual, and then an MI5 blackmail photographer would be waiting there to take the photograph. Now they have you implicated. Yes.
And then the child prostitute's just behind him, giving him bunny ears.
Dude, it's like motherfucker stuff. Yeah.
You just like right up on him, like, hey, look at this faggot.
For real, dude. I was so fucking like blown away, but also like, of course, not at all surprised, to be honest. I mean, fuck, man.
Well, because how do you explain that? How do you explain that picture to people who don't have like the context? You were like, I was just there for like a fucking meeting.
It's also like what you're supposed to assume this child. This one's clearly a prostitute. I'm supposed to infer this from the photo. What do you have? Something really sexy? What do you mean?
Was they would like utilize the media elements in the media, right? Run pieces, implicate the child. All these different scenarios were taking place. It's very interesting.
It seems to make sense from my reading of the Eye of the Chicken Hawk so far. One commonality I'm seeing amongst all these different like interconnected groups so far, and I guess this could be just this network. It was almost like they had like a swinging network, but like with their like given boys. So they would almost like they would have their own little boys, and a lot of times they would have these like coded messages in backs of magazines and shit to be like, oh, whatever fucking thing they were advertising, it'd be like a magic show or whatever, but really it was just like a meetup for those in the know of like, yo, let's swap boys. And then there's also this dynamic too where like I noticed that a lot of these guys had like guys that were like almost like their I guess you could say like their bottom bitch or like but they would be like 18, 19, 20-year-old. So they'd be older. So I don't know if maybe they were not fucking them anymore. I don't know how this worked, but they were almost like their little helper. They was helping them out with shit. Like that was the thing. John Wayne Gacy, one of his dudes that like was working for his company, was also like at one point and criminally involved. And there's a whole rigmarole. I couldn't like spout it off, but he clearly, it's like documented, was an associate of another guy doing that was like, it seems like he may have murdered some kids, but at the very least he had been diddling some kids. And so there was some shit going on there. There was a weird connection. And it was like, well, why is this guy also now working for you? It seems to have some know-how, a little bit more know-how than other people about the stuff Gacy was doing. When he clearly was basically the bottom bitch of some other dude doing some other similar fucking kids and maybe killing them type thing. So I don't know what to like draw from that, but I guess that would make sense if you are literally grooming them. That you are kind of like, yo, dog, you have like your own little dude that's like your fucking little MK Ultra project for years. You know? So
can you imagine going to that magic show and not just looking for magic? And you're like, all right, where are the tricks coming? Stop! Don't touch that kid, dude.
Ta-da! Swap.
That's crazy. I can't. Well, also too, I can't imagine if they're gonna let the kid grow older. I can't imagine they're gonna like be like, all right, we're done. Go work at Subway. You know what I mean? Like they're not gonna like let them just go out into the world.
I don't know how to tell you this, but I don't find you cute anymore.
Yeah, you're kind of like a MILF to us now, and that's gross.
Oh my,
that's gross. You're so gross and old, boy.
I know. Definitely, a lot of the networks utilize the victims to procure other children for the large part, and then beyond that, as they do get older, a lot of them are cast out to the wayside. Most of them have drug addictions from years of abuse and all of this, and but I do find it interesting because a lot of them will also like develop this insane love for their abuser and legitimately live with them for a time, and like you're saying, as they get older, and yeah, they're just mind controlled by being victims of abuse since they were children.
Yeah, I could see that, because that was like the big if you watch the R. Kelly documentary, that was like the big part where it's like, it's way past R. Kelly's prime. They're still having trouble getting the girls to leave, and then if you mix that with, if you take this extreme, they're in there for life. They don't know, like if you got them since they were 5, they're locked into this. It's like, it's hard enough for people to leave cults. Imagine leaving that. And then they also gave you don't they usually put them on drugs to begin with? Like they give them a drug addiction. They turn them like the most dependable. The most dependent on them. So
in the book I'm reading, there was multiple, like they call them farms. There was one that was called like a farms. They had other type things or I don't know, or it would be like religious-ish type things where it's like, hey, boys' homes or whatever. It would be shit like that where they would chart them off to. And a lot of times, that was a common thing where it'd be like, oh, they would procure drugs for them, get them. A lot of times they would find delinquent kids. That was kind of the prime targets. Like, these guys probably like drugs anyways, so like, we just got to get them to the fucking part. We're already halfway there. Yeah. So
I heard a lot of the boy victims that they would claim, and a lot of this happens like in some fashion of like an orgy of some kind, and like, so typically they will have like these pool party sessions and stuff like that, which, by the way, with the Pizzagate episode, when I covered that, right, like in the leaks, right, like dude, there was like this online network where this lady was pimping out her children. It was absolutely insane, dude. I'm trying to find her name right now, but it just serves as a prime example for networks that are still active, and within networks of power, right, that exist with serious political influence, right? And so it just, once again, beyond like the easy individuals you can point to and examples like Dennis Hastert, longest Speaker of the House, Republican Speaker of the House, and clearly an out and out pedophile, and it's just at a certain point, I am not at all shocked that we continue to see the same patterns, right? I mean, Jesus, bro. It's I think it's the currency of the political elites in the country that are basically providing this sort of, curtain and thin veneer and mask for the actual elite oligarchs that are pulling the strings, truly. And that's why I think so much of the two-party illusion is just that. It's just an illusion, and people are playing into both sides. Oh, it's an election year, so now everyone is at this heightened state, and they can't handle anyone actually questioning the ideological paradigm that they're so restricted and blinded, as far as their partisan loyalty is concerned. And so I find things like Trump's ear
Dude,
the funniest fucking thing of all time. It's
Have
like,
you
what?
seen that shit? I know I called it ahead of time because I saw the doctor's thing. I saw the fucking I remember reading the doctor's report or whatever that was saying that it was like a 2 centimeter upper right ear. So it literally, like, 2 centimeters is not shit. And so I called it. I'm like, dude, it's gonna be indiscernible from a normal ear by the end of this. And it was like, and it was, but it's still, you still see it and you're like, fuck. Like, dude, like, come on, have the decency to, like, fuck your ear up or something. Like what the fuck, dude? Like, you can't just be like, yo, I took a bullet to the ear and come back and be like, what's up? Like, my ear's fine, dog.
Right. What was the thing with his ear? Because I haven't been up to date on the newest Trump shit. Like, he just didn't have a piece of his ear missing or anything, right?
Yeah, I've seen. There's been pictures, and it just looks perfectly normal. Although, like I said, a 2 centimeter little chunk, 2 centimeters, like nothing. The tip of your ear, but like, give it like, I don't know how long it takes to completely heal. But honestly, your ear's already kind of a funkily shaped thing. Maybe you have a little dent or something, but his is like looked immaculate. I don't even see like a little like ding or nothing. And you're like, but like, you would be able to like take probably like a 2 centimeter chunk off the tip of your ear. And it probably would be, give it a few weeks to heal, and it'd be basically not even fucking noticeable. So, like, that was from the beginning. I was like, yeah, that shit's fucked. What we got here? Let's look at this here. Bring this cocksucker up. Yeah, fuck you, dude. What the hell?
Fuck, dude. I love it.
Dude, I don't know. It doesn't. It still makes me skizzer out.
But
like,
it's okay.
Did he get shot or not?
The CIA felt the need to address the fact that they did not have anything to do with MK Ultra. As far as the Trump shooter's concerned, I think that was so fucking funny,
dude. That was super interesting. The fact that they like came out and said it, and it was kind of crazy because whenever I bring this up, I always find
no, honey, I didn't fuck Sarah. I didn't ask.
yeah.
I always find myself somehow bringing this up to people, and most people I talk about, like, the whole MK Ultra Manchurian Candidate stuff, like just their involvement in anything like this, like I get confused looks. So then to see in like a major publication them actually acknowledging it, I was like, ooh, that's something. That's something, because they most people, like, that was like, I feel like most people look at MK Ultra like, yeah, it was some crazy shit they did. They're not really doing that anymore.
Right.
The idea that MK Ultra never stopped, I think, is just like a foreign notion to most people. So the fact that they actually acknowledged it, I was like, you really didn't need to. You didn't really need to acknowledge that.
Maybe we, I don't know, maybe because it's like all of us here have been like so deep in this shit for so long, maybe to varying levels. Like, you read a lot of the literature, libertarian stuff, or parapolitics stuff, or whatever, and you're like, look at these fucking sheep. But like, a lot has happened during that time, because like, I've been like, I guess, a libertarian before 2020, been hip to parapolitics stuff somewhat. But I mean, maybe just we've undervalued how much people have changed. Like, I've been watching Candace Owens a lot recently. I know it sounds gay to say, but like, just because I've been catching some shit. She's been going fucking hard in the paint. Like, today she was, I saw, like, I listened to an episode that actually I think was from yesterday. She was fucking bringing up the Sabbatean shit. which I don't know.
What?
Like,
No
yeah,
way.
yeah, she's going on about Sabbateans. They're like, because someone was
Wow.
like, "Oh, the Jews," and she's like, "No, it's not the Jews, it's the Sabbateans," and you're like, "Holy
Holy
fuck, you know
shit.
about that, Candace?"
Yeah.
Like,
Which one's
see-
that one? I don't know if I've heard that.
See what I mean? Like,
Yeah,
and so
Candace
real-
is dusting me.
Yeah,
See, I was like,
I'll come back to that. But like, my point being is like, Candace, I still see her as like, yeah, she's a little bit more like. I feel like maybe you got to be a little bit more inundated for her now because she's gone a little bit more hardcore and had grown some more balls. But she's still kind of Normieville, like so. Like
I think she has a similar thing that Tucker has, where I think they sort of were around a bunch of more like normie conservatives, and ever since they busted loose of that like conservative establishment shit. Like I've been listening to Tucker's a lot more ever since he's been on YouTube. Well, he's always been on YouTube, but
yeah, Tucker's a good example too. But go on.
I can't. Yeah, no. Tucker's
He's
like
not going Candace hard, but he's still going hard.
Well, he's talking about angels and demons and shit. So I don't know what to do with that. I'm not saying it's not a thing. I'm just saying I don't know. But I forget what the fuck it was, but he hit a thing. Like I usually listen to Tucker and I'm like, I like him. He knows more than me. But he hit a thing where I go, oh yeah, you're just finding out about that one? Oh, interesting. And I think it's the fact that they're not around, because I think when you're around a group of people, you sort of subconsciously adopt their broad vibe. And if you're mainly around Fox News type people or Candace Owens, where was she? Daily Wire?
Yeah, she was Daily Wire.
Yeah, when you're around those kind of people, you sort of subconsciously adopt that vibe, and maybe some more farther out there stuff you're not going to go venture towards. Now she's just I mean, I don't know who she's hanging out with specifically, but you saw she had Dave on. She's going, she's got a lot of people on and stuff like that. She's definitely more open-minded to this stuff. And I got to imagine people like her, people like Tucker, they're definitely having a lot more people contact them like, yo, you should check this fucking shit out and stuff like that. So who knows, but it's cool to see.
All right, real
curious.
quick, I'll give you a recap on Sabbateans because it's worth it. I don't think a lot of people's heard it. We haven't talked about it a ton. It's fun. Like, you ever like sat there and wondered, like, how the fuck have the Jews been kicked out of so many nations? What's all this weird blood libel stuff you're talking about? Oh, wait, what, blood libels? Like murdering Christian children and drinking their blood and doing satanic rituals? What is all this? There's no way they made up all this crazy. You're telling me in this many countries just made all this up? Okay, well, let me tell you about a little group called the Sabbateans. Like, I guess you could say this could be, some people might say this is Jewish cope, but there is there is precedence to this. I believe it was somewhere like 1200, 1300. There's two major figures to understand because there's the Sabbateans and the Sabbatean Frankists, which the Sabbatean Frankists have more of an impact on the modern day stuff if you're looking at. But originally it was Sabbatai Zevi, which was, I want to say somewhere in the 1200s to 1400s. Some dude, I believe in like Turkey or some shit. He was a Jew. And he came to some understanding. I believe he read some passage of the Torah or Talmud or whatever the fuck in relation to like messianic stuff, and like because they don't believe in Jesus, but they still, a lot of them do believe in a Messiah. And he had this belief that he was the Messiah, and like his reading of the scripture or whatever was that like when and I remember reading it once. I was like, oh, I guess you could kind of understand it that way, but like. Essentially, the understanding was during the Messianic times, it would essentially flip the law. Because, I mean, most people who are, like, normal Christian understand that, like, Jesus, a big part of stuff was, like, depending, a new law or updating the law, or, people have different ways of understanding. But it always has something to do with, like, the pact that God made with you before. And now he's, like, I don't know, adding another subsection to the contract. I don't fucking know. But essentially, their idea was that it flipped it. But the pact, essentially, the law was, like, 10 commandments, do good stuff, blah, 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 generic stuff. But it's like, so now it flipped it. So basically it's like what's bad is good and what's good is bad. And so that was his belief. And we're in the messianic times, and we're going to bring on a new age, which is really common in occult thinking too. Like a aeonic age or whatever. So he ended up, I believe, I don't remember who, the Turkish guy or who the fuck, essentially was like, yo, you guys are getting way too fucking big and rowdy. What we're going to do is you're going to what's the word I'm looking for? Convert. Like you're not going to be Jews no more. And so then they all became Muslims. That guy died. And then a few centuries later, around, I believe 1666, 17th century, because there's a book called 1666, Jacob Frank, I believe. I might have got the first name wrong. Believes that he's like essentially the reincarnation of Sabtai Ziva. He's now the Messiah, and he does it again, essentially the same thing. And instead of, and the same thing happens again too. Instead of converting to Islam, though, this time he converts to Catholicism. Because some world leaders like, yo, fucker, like, you guys are getting fucking nuts. You guys are doing all these weird incest and orgies, and, you know, fucking seems like you might be doing some blood libel shit. I don't know what the fuck's going on there. But like,
hey,
yo,
you guys blood libeling?
Yeah, y'all need to chill.
Blood libeling.
Y'all need to chill. And then, but part of their, like, you know, religion was that, like, what is bad? So essentially the idea of them converting to another religion, they have no problem lying about being of something else. So they actually still were Jews, or I guess not Jews, they were Sabbateans, or later Sabbatean Frankists. And they had this understanding that it was their duty to, like, pervert things, to do evil things, yada, yada, yada. And there's obviously a lot more to it. And
like this accelerationism sort of as well, right? Like, it all kind of falls under that umbrella. Like, and remember I mentioned just recently how Sabbatean Frankists were, like, essentially, like, Sabbateanism was basically the foundation for all three of, allegedly, of communism, Zionism, and Nazism, with the core principle basically being to infiltrate religion and politics, right?
Yeah.
Like, I mean, sort
so
of.
It doesn't just apply to religion, because
exactly.
Because their whole thing is like subverting shit to you know, fuck shit up, essentially.
Exactly.
And they have no problem. They also have no. And the weird thing is too is they also have no problem with, like, adultery. So this is where a lot of the, like, Moloch worship and stuff like that. It's like almost as if they have like and there's like multiple layers. So we're like, yeah, I wouldn't worship in Moloch, but, you know, my bottom bitch, that's old God, you know, or fucking, you know, I'm just doing what he wants or whatever. Like that. It's. I mean, that's the quickest rundown I could give of it.
Sounds like it's a real means to the end mentality. Which you were saying. Wait, did you bring up socialism, or I can't remember?
I just sort of referenced communism, which socialism.
Oh no. Okay, I know you said Zionism and Nazism in that one part. But no, regardless, yeah, it does. It would make sense as a mentality for, like, getting shit done, where you're just like, there's kind of like no rules. The only rule is to get to the result.
Yeah,
dude, it perfectly lines up with the protocols of the learned elders of Zion. I'm just throwing that out there.
Yeah, and this motherfucker was hooked up with I don't remember who it was. I believe the Rothschilds, and also some of the members of the actual Bavarian Illuminati of that time, like the real Illuminati. So there's that linkage too. So it's like, yo, I think some crazy shit might be going on here. And then once you start realizing that, you're like, what the fuck?
It's like a tenet, almost a central pillar in so many of the cults, is that they were the lost tribe of Israel, the ancient lost tribe of Israel. And even in this latest King Korra episode, the Orange Order, dude, you look into that shit and how much of a hand these secret societies really had in as far as carrying out the bidding of the Alpha Lodges in the UK. Like, honestly, that's what a lot of people believe happened as far as the different political turmoil playing out in that time, as far as Northern Ireland and Southern Ireland and the split and the Civil War and all this shit. But anyway,
one fact Candace brought up that I actually hadn't heard before is apparently the first Jewish Supreme Court justice was a Frankist. Now, and the reason they say this is because he literally kept a photo of Ava Frank, which was Jacob Frank's daughter, which he considered like the unholy Mary, is what he called her. And it was literally his daughter he had incest with, and so it was like the non-virgin Mary. And like that was like a big part of his like belief or whatever. Because I mean that's always like a common thing with these cults too, like these occult stuff, like the moon child, or a lot of times I believe there's one you covered too. There was some fucking kid that they
that was the OTS.
Yeah, weird.
France and Canada, like that's the coolest part, honestly, about covering a lot of the different subjects that I do cover is that I've been all over the map. I've been learning a lot of different things about certain time periods in all these different countries, and basically how Gladio was so widespread. It's just like, I think the foundation of a lot of these cult organizations, mixed in with these, allegedly these right-leaning paramilitaries and all this other, beyond the private intelligence aspect of it all, like, dude, this is how it still works to this day. And I think people are under the impression that that isn't the case. And somehow we fucking learned our lesson during Watergate or some shit, and we scaled back the intelligence agency. What the fuck are you saying? Like, that's like such a flawed perspective,
Yeah, that's like the biggest misconception of. I think everyone feels it when they're younger, because like the younger you are, you think you're so fucking smart. I know I went through that, and
they're like, chill now.
Well, you think like, man, like you grow up and you're like, man, people back then were so fucking dumb and weird and doing wild shit, but we're chill. Yeah, like you said, we're chill now, but. I was so glad you guys got to this, because I'm curious about more of this stuff, because I can't remember what I was reading, but it started to hit me, and I was just like, oh, I think a lot of people on the day-to-day, we're thinking on a shorter time frame, but there's definitely these bigger groups that stem from these old secret societies and occult stuff, or whatever you call it, that are like, no, they're just working on a way longer timeline than us, and we just happen to be the fucking NPCs and cattle that showed up at this time period. But there's a much bigger timeline going on that we just happen to be in the middle of.
Yeah. Hey, by the way, Jules, when you get a chance, can you bring up the video I shared in the chat, the most recent thing I dropped in there, the video. But yeah, we're gonna change gears up in a second and go to something a little bit more fun. Israeli rape riots.
Oh, yes.
Have you heard about this story, Andy? Have you been paying attention to Twitter?
I heard it when you tagged me in that tweet. And then I saw someone posting something about what was it, like some Israeli official board was trying to figure out if you could rape a Palestinian or not. I was like, what are they doing over there?
That's so crazy.
You guys gotta calm down.
I pulled up the CBS article that's super brief to give it context if you want. Are we gonna play the video?
Yeah, we're just waiting for. Whoa, what did he just bring up? What is that? Oh no, that's you're not that. I put it in the Twitter chat. That's the fucking call thing for later. Luckily I have it set up so you couldn't see numbers, but we almost number doxed some people.
Anybody again.
But yeah, sorry if you guys I actually number doxed you guys before. Do you get some calls? Yeah, it's in the Twitter chat, the Already Dead production chat. The last video I sent. It's but yeah, it's them fucking. They're literally debating whether it's okay to sodomize. And I'll give you a breakdown real quick. This is essentially what happened is my rough understanding is a few fucking rowdy IDF boys got some Palestinian and were literally using, I believe what I heard was a molten rod. I mean, I guess molten might be overdoing it, but like a very, very hot rod, and was literally fucking anally raping some dude with it. I think I even saw somewhere he was raped till he was paralyzed, which that's impressive. I don't feel like the rape would do that. I feel like maybe some sort of beating alongside, but whatever. Missing the point there.
When you hit the G spot, your legs start fucking wobbling.
Just really nailing that prostate.
Dude, honestly, glass half full. Maybe it was just because he came really hard.
Oh yeah, he was paralyzed.
Yeah. But yeah, essentially then I guess the Israeli cops arrested these fuckers. I guess there was a few guys that were doing it, and they arrested them. Yeah, something like that. And they arrested him, and then all of a sudden, all the IDF was like, what?
Yeah,
what do you mean?
How dare you?
We can't rape people? What? And like,
100%. I don't even want to do this anymore.
And they legit are like rioting, trying to break them out of prison. And like, apparently like members of the, what was it, the Knesset? Or I don't know if the Knesset is the place or if that's the fucking, or if that's the, like the name of their Congress. But either way, it was like, they're literally in the halls of their fucking Congress, or we're gonna fucking call it, debating the like whether they're like past. They're not even like debating if it's rape. They're just like, is rape okay?
Can you? We're gonna rape. We got these Palestinians. Don't harsh our fucking vibe, guys. Dude, that's nuts. That just like that whole, because that's the whole thing. Whenever you like when you see like some hardcore Zionists like and Israelis like arguing for the pro like Zionist shit in the context, you know, when they're talking about Palestinians, is like the one that you always see them that they never want to vocalize is like, yeah, we kind of think they're less than people. And just like, but then you see like their reactions and stuff where you're just like, wait, you're telling us we can't hot rod rape them? That's fucking and you're like, oh yeah, it kind of just goes more and more to that of like what the actual mindset is on all that shit.
All right, Jules, I think you got it. You can bring that up if you want to, because it's a good little clip. I saw you put it in the private chat, so if you want to bring that up, we'll play that. But yeah, it's pretty funny little snippet of them literally arguing. I guess we'll have to maybe mute it when you bring it up too, because I guess one of us will have to read it for the non-viewing audience. And they're just doing a bunch of Israel Jewy mumbo jumbo anyway. So even on the audio side, no one knows what the fuck they're saying. So why hear that annoying nonsense?
Yeah, it's also the irony too, because like people with how they're treating the Palestinians, like people are kind of being like, damn, you guys are so mad about genocide, and it kind of feels like you're taking the crown on that, brother. And then I've been boning up on my World War II, and like there was Nazis at the Nuremberg trial who kind of like showed up being like, all right, this is gonna be a cakewalk, I'll be fine. And then people were trying to they're like, no, we're prosecuting you, dude. You guys went way too hard. And then there's all these like Nazis at Nuremberg were like, wait a minute, you guys were fucking mad about that? I thought, okay, all right, I read the room wrong, I guess.
All right, I got it up now. Let's play it. I'll read it real quick. I don't know if you know, but there's an innocent man in Sudan, or the fuck, I probably pronounced that wrong, where the military police came to arrest soldiers who were guarding the Nakba terrorists, whatever the fuck those are. In Sudan, the Nakba terrorist detention center, the military police came there to arrest some of the soldiers there, probably because of some allegations regarding the treatment of the Nakba terrorists. Now watch this Tyler Janke looking motherfucker. And there's an incident of soldiers refusing to leave. The insanity that our country is having around this story is crazy, and we need to stop it. And I think we need to give a personal example here, and I say now, and I call on the other coalition members to do the same. I'm getting up and I'm leaving here, and I'm not going to vote on anything anymore until this story and this insanity that there is someone in the prosecutor's office who thinks that it's possible to come and arrest soldiers for saying they were doing the Nakba terrorists is not over. And I am really asking, I think my coalition friends will do well if they do the same as I do. Let me see, we're almost there. We cannot continue as usual. And then someone says, to insert a stick in a person's rectum, is that legitimate? And watch this motherfucker right here. He gets upset. He goes, shut up. Yes, if he's a Nakba, everything is legitimate to do. Everything. That's what I wanted to know. Do you know what these people did? Best. Never mind.
Dude, and also
there are things you don't do.
Also, too, the guy if you back it up a little bit, the guy in the middle wearing like the fucking cardigan, like he sits up straight, like, dude, are you even talking about this?
Yeah, we can't rape. Oh, I actually, it's kind of funnier with the sound. All right, that's enough of that.
My God.
Sounds like his fucking soccer team lost. That's crazy.
Yeah.
It's crazy to get that mad.
Yeah, by the way, for those who don't get the reference, I know not everyone knows Tyler Janke. That's my buddy, our producer over on Tower Gang. He has a show, Libertarian Podcast Review. Yeah, that motherfucker looks a lot like him. So that was the reference. So I know it's probably too niche for some of the audience. But you know, he's a well-known guy. He's a well-known guy in these circles. So, yeah, but yeah, wild shit, dude. Rape, is it cool or not? Who knows?
Really, people really take for granted how chill we are in the U.S. We're not perfect.
Yeah,
but like we got a lot of problems.
Rape, not cool.
Like I'm not. We got a lot of problems. But every time I see a clip like that, I'm like, we're the best. Like we're the best ones. We rule America. Everyone in America is the best.
Yeah, like we see rape and we go, don't do that.
Yeah. Hey,
except
knock it off.
The only problem is that we are essentially facilitating all of this. You know what I mean? Like, right. And especially when you have 17,000 just children alone, you know, let alone the 40,000 Palestinians, right? Like, and all these reports now of everyone who goes there, you know, whether it's some aid organization, whether it's some journalist, they are reporting that they're basically the IDF's deliberately targeting children, like deliberately targeting children by shooting them through the heart and through the brain. And basically, the implication there is ethnic cleansing, man. You know, I mean, 100%. Like, I don't see how you can't point and see genocide.
Yeah.
And even the excuse being, right, that this, right, this oppressed, you know, the oppressed state of Israel, right? They're just facilitating a newfound genocide, the new age genocide, it's just, to me, clearly they're gearing up for, especially when you have Netanyahu come and just berate Congress, right? Like,
oh
dude,
my god, yeah, that was on the list, dude. That made me so fucking mad,
brother. 58 standing ovations apparently during that fucking speech.
I wouldn't have been so mad if it wasn't for the one line that he gave. And I believe there's more. I didn't watch the whole thing, but the one line where he said, I can't remember how many fucking 9/11s he said it was. He was like, this is like however many 9/11s. And you're like, dude.
Oh my God, brother.
Fuck
don't bring it up.
You, dude.
Don't bring it up.
Like, you're literally at our Congress. Like, okay, whatever. Back home, you could be like, okay, I get it. Like, hey, guys, if you think about our population size, this is kind of like this many 9/11s. And you're like, okay, cool, whatever. Like, if you want to, like, figure it out that way. But, like, in Congress being like, oh, it's so bad. It's like a bajillion of the bad thing you had. And you're like, yo, dude, fuck you. Like, fuck you. Like, it'd be like if your like wife cheated on you, and then your other buddy came and like, and you're like, yeah, but like my wife got really like, it was way worse the how she cheated. I mean, you're like, dude, it still sucks. Like, what the like that was like you're bringing that up like here in my house. Fuck you.
He's like, what? He's like, you know how you had that bad day? What if it was actually really, really, really bad?
Like you don't understand. It's way worse for me because like I'm not as good at dealing with bad things.
It's like it's so like, dude, when 9/11s happened to me, it's so different. Like I just get so much more. I'm just so 9/11 sensitive. It affects me way more than you guys.
You're way tougher than 9/11.
Yeah,
and really, all you should have to do is mention the dancing Israelis or the USS Liberty, right? And Americans should be much more aware of both of those stories, right? Like, my God, I remember when I first learned about the Liberty. My fucking God, brother. Like, I just, for any other nation, for it to be swept under the rug like that and so efficiently, it's just, honestly, it's extraordinary, right? And by the way, what does he do? He immediately, Netanyahu highlights Iran, threatening Iran. This has been the goal for how fucking long? You know, all you have to do is go back and watch Wesley Clark and what he told Amy Goodman years ago. I mean, like, this has been in the cards. He seems to be, honestly, it's so obvious he's doing the bidding of this this elite establishment in the state of Israel, because he's not even a popular candidate. Like, he was forced upon the people, to be real about the entire scenario. And so he has no real, like, he's not going to lose much as far as his political clout. He basically is a lame duck as it is, except for the fact that makes him all the more dangerous, in my opinion, right? Because, you know, he has nothing to lose, basically. And he was facing criminal charges before he even became the prime minister again, which is so fucking crazy, right? And beyond that, man, I mean, we've known that as far as the state of Israel and the military-industrial complex has so clearly been gearing up for a larger regional conflict involving, I mean, because they're, in my opinion, when you have all the new headlines following Netanyahu's address to Congress is basically he convenes like a war drill against Iran before he even got here. You know what I'm saying? And then beyond that, he's bombing and attacking Yemen and the Houthis, allegedly, right? and then you have they've been bombing the shit out of Syria for forever, trying to overthrow Assad for how long, and and you have Hezbollah, right? So all they and so I think they're probably going to publicly attack Iran to some level while they invade Lebanon. They're going to have like this all of this will be financed by the United States military-industrial complex, as it has to thus far, and so it's like,
how great would it be if the rape riots is what threw it all off? Because like a lot of people are talking about, like they're literally like, I don't know how bad it really is, but they're like making it sound like some of the people are like, oh, this could become like a civil war. Like, can you imagine because the funny thing is we'd be funding the rape side of the civil war. Like, if you can imagine it, can you imagine if the new Israel civil war, if it's like history rhymes, you know how like, obviously I think there is more to it, and that's actually what I got demonetized for, was saying there's more to the civil war than just slavery. But like,
Lincoln's like, we shouldn't even live with the blacks.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
But can you imagine if this happens to them and it's literally over rape? You're like, all right, well, a few hundred years later, we're moving forward. We're like, okay, we're having the big conversation about, we had the big conversation about slavery. Now we're having the big conversation about rape. All right, guys, we got to stop raping.
In that conversation, we can be like, yeah, we were racist, but at least we're not fucking gay like you guys. Wait, so I have a question, because I'm admittedly behind on the whole Iran stuff. I know there's always a boner to like bomb Iran and fuck up Iran and stuff. Why is there always such a boner for Iran specifically?
Because that's where the real Aryans are.
Oh.
You know what? I say that's actually is like some deep like Aryan lore. You look it up. Hitler was actually cool with Iran. They're like, yo, dog. Like they think that's where the real, or some of the Aryans are at. Like, we're cool.
No beef here, dude.
Stay out of it. They're like, we're cool. Go for it.
We've been affecting Iranian politics for generations, right? The Shah of Iran, and and like we've been launching coup d'etats, the Iran-Iraq war. Like you had legitimately Khashoggi, Adnan Khashoggi, Jamal Khashoggi's, I believe, brother. Might be cousin or some shit, but he was running guns with Robert Maxwell, Ghislaine's dad.
Oh God, I always wondered, like, cause I'd hear that name because I listened to an audiobook and I was like, is it the same Khashoggi? Like, or am I like hearing that wrong? Is this a racist in me? Then I'm like, it all just sounds like Arabic nonsense.
No,
like,
he wasn't assassinated.
Dude, that is what learn about the Middle East so hard. You're like, guys, we need to figure out the names. There's too many hyphens and there's too many fucking words that sound like you got food in your mouth.
That is wild. There's that connection, because I always wondered, like, what a weird. So it makes you wonder, what the fuck was going on there?
Why he was assassinated, in my opinion. It's because he's largely involved with the network, and especially when, and allegedly MBS is the one who, ordered his execution, basically. But yeah, it's a very interesting connection, because his cousin or brother, I think it's actually his brother, but was running guns with Robert Maxwell during the Iran-Iraq war on behalf of providing cover for the United States State Department, like legitimately funneling arms to both sides of the conflict, which I found very interesting. So they were using Mossad, right? Because again, like I've said many times, like you can't distinguish really between Mossad, MI6, CIA. Like they honestly are operating for typically the same end result, and the same goals are prioritized to achieve. I would think, because more often than not, they're doing the bidding for each other.
Wasn't it one of our spies that helped create Mossad or some shit? I forget.
Dude,
I think it was
every single time, I'm telling you, and every one of the foundational aspects of these intelligence agencies are.
He was the guy, real quick. I heard this from Sam's show, his other show, Deep Waters. I'm pretty sure it's the dude who was like the inspiration for fucking James Bond or some shit. I forget his name, but yeah.
Bro, that motherfucker He comes up in the psychopath machine. I forget his fucking name, but he's a MI6 agent technically, or MI5 back then. But
that's what it was. It wasn't one of ours. It was that's right. I believe it was MI5 or some shit, and he helped create Mossad. But yeah, go on,
dude, and he has an insane connection to all of this, as far as creating Manchurian candidates out of the Oak Ridge Hospital for the Criminally Insane in Canada and stuff like that. And he was like hanging out with some of the the psychopaths that were essentially groomed into Manchurian candidate sleeper assassins to be sent under the front lines of like military conflicts in Rhodesia and shit, as like mind controlled assassins. And they're like joining paramilitary groups, and they've already been convicted of murder and pedophilia, and were legitimately living with a doctor from the Oak Ridge facility on this farm before they went off to a kibbutz in Israel, and then ended up on the front lines of a military conflict, and then came back to then be sent on to another conflict in a different area of the world. You're like, what the fuck is actually happening? You know, like at a certain extent, you really have to question reality altogether, you know. And I'm very paranoid when it comes to people like you had mentioned Tucker Carlson earlier. Like, you know, hey man, I know your dad's CIA, a little. Blood, bro. You know what I'm just saying. But beyond that, I'll be honest. You know who funds his new show? Allegedly Peter Thiel.
God damn it,
motherfucker! God damn it! Serious, dude. We can't have anything nice, brother. That's the world we live in.
That's the worst. That's the worst fucking part. You're always like, all right, because like I saw someone had a post where they ran down the list of like Tucker, Alex Jones, people like that, and they all had like parents who were in the CIA, and I was like, all right, fair thing to bring up, always a fair thing to bring up. But then if like you listen to Tucker's like rhetoric, you're like, well, it goes pretty against the thing, like a lot of the things the government would want.
That's what they want you to think.
Yeah, man. But it's all
40 chess, bro.
The concept of allowable opinion now.
Yeah,
it's almost like gatekeepers, but only when it's okay, and you're not actually at the forefront of disclosing anything. Like, honestly, it's like, what are you really doing other than, I guess, bringing it to the attention of some fucking 70-year-old, retarded. I'm not trying to be insulting. I'm just saying, like, the demographic of Tucker, I don't know what it is exactly. I would imagine maybe skews younger than I'm thinking, but honestly, like the people
he's had some good
kind of
interviews, but I don't
Tucker
watch
Carlson.
it regularly. Yeah,
No, yeah, and I'm not talking shit like to that. I'm just saying stop trusting any of these people, though. We definitely shouldn't do that. That's a huge mistake. Is all I'm saying.
Speaking of which,
if you don't actually know the person,
I think the best way to go about it is like, especially when you hear little things like that, like funded by Peter Thiel. Dad was in the CIA. I think a lot like people like that, it's always good to be like arm's length with them, where it's like you don't let it, like, you're like, all right, I'm gonna listen, hear you out, but I feel like arm's length is good because then you don't get burned the same way.
I'm not saying there's no value, you know what I mean? Like,
I have watched a good amount of his stuff, and his interviews are good, but
for sure.
I hear what you're saying.
Yeah.
I just
like a limited hangout's not necessarily a bad thing. Like, a lot of people, like, that's a sign that like the narrative, but at the same time just means stay vigilant. Don't be like cowed into like, oh well, fucking Tucker said.
Thank God we have.
Who
Tucker.
gives a fuck? Like, if you can verify what he said, cool. But like you don't, like, and if he says something, you're like, yo, what the fuck? Then it's like then fucking trust that instinct. Don't be like, well, it's Tucker, so exactly. But all right, I do want to talk about one more thing before we go to the lines. We will soon. We'll open the phone lines and we'll start going also to the chat, see what they have to say. But I did want to talk about Biden, dude. Is that nigga dead or what?
I totally forgot,
dude.
Why do you want to talk about? Why do you want to talk about a guy who died 2 years ago?
Yeah, right. Okay, maybe I know. I love like the conspiracy has been dead for a long time. Is fun. But like, I think the circumstances is like, I think he's dead or just like not, or fucking drugged up on a bed or some shit. He is not in the public eye. We've had 2 appearances because everyone for the longest time was like, yo, this motherfucker what's going on with him, because he dropped out of the race and just disappeared for a good hot minute. Like, didn't even address the nation. Can't remember how long it was before he did. There was that weird little, I think we may have talked about this last week. There was that weird call he did in a call, they said, and there was actually like a Freudian slip where Kamala said, call or whatever, recording.
It's not like, it wasn't like slight that you could misinterpret it. It was like she was about to say recording.
Oh, yeah, dude.
Which fair, you could write that off as just like a slip of the tongue, like I may refer to something as the wrong thing. But either way, it was still like, I mean, I didn't even need that. I could just hear the voice and be like, what the? It sounds like some robot voice shit. You're like, this sounds like some fucking dude at Langley just speaking to a voice modulator or some shit. Like, this was some Wizard of Oz shit. And then after that, he then addressed the nation. And I'm telling you, I don't know if you guys watched that. It was uncanny valley to me. Something was off. Like, I don't know if it was a person in a face suit delivering the lines. I don't know if it was completely AI. I actually lean more towards like that. Something was off. Dude, I don't know what.
I saw the picture from it, and I remember last time I had Austin on my podcast, I kind of was like, making fun of the whole skin suit and, you know, people in masks and stuff like that. And then when they showed
President,
showed me the most
there. You're not going anywhere, Joe.
I'm watching you, kid. I'm watching you, kid.
When they showed me like, wait, can you hear that? When they showed me the most recent picture of Biden, it was the most I've ever believed in like skin suit shit. Because I go, that's not. It's not just like it's not just like when you see Obama at the beginning of his presidency and at the end, and you're like, wow, he got really old. It's like that's like they put a mask on Skeletor. That's fucking crazy looking. It's the closest I've ever been to believing the fucking skin suit shit.
You're talking about Nephilim Biden that showed up like that was what I was getting to. We had Biden, the recorded message he gave to the nation, like video message saying, "Hey, here's all my reasons, blah blah blah." Tried to be inspiring speech, whatever the fuck. Once again, I said all I have to say is that's uncanny valley. I mean, I can't give any specifics. It was just recorded video. It felt weird. His mannerisms. Just everything was off. Like, yeah, there was slurring and stuff, but a lot of people don't realize, like, I'm no tech genius, but I know AI can do that. They can match your speech patterns. So it's like, and they have AI video. So it's like, I don't know. I mean,
you also got to remember. So I'm in the middle of listening to Annie Jacobs' book about DARPA, and the big thing she always hammers home: DARPA's always 20 years before us. So. The AI we have, like I heard a AI country song. It was like a Kanye country song, and it sounded like Kanye singing and everything, doing a country song. So like if we got the good shit now. Like if they're doing I got to imagine DARPA's working on AI. It's like the AI they're working on has to be. It's at least 20 years ahead. So I'm not saying that's what it is. I'm just saying it could be possible that they have some next level advanced AI video for Biden.
I think we actually got 2 appearances of Biden after. I don't know if it was like somewhere after that, after the voice thing. I don't know if it was before or after the thing. There was one where he was just walking to his plane, and then some reporter tried to ask something to him, and he just did this weird thing where he looked at him, and then just kind of kept moving. That one was like, yeah, that could totally easily be a skin suit guy with glasses on, just like, hey, all I need you is to go from this car to here. And then then there was the Nephilim Biden. I don't know what event it was at, but there's the one where you see him standing next to Jill, and he's like a whole goddamn head taller. And that
was probably a spectrum point of view thing, though.
I don't know. I'm saying there was also him. There was him standing next to Netanyahu, and he was taller than Netanyahu. Which, you know, if you look at their actual heights, like nose to nose, he was taller than Netanyahu, like a sizable amount, probably like maybe an inch or two. But like he's actually an inch or two shorter than him in real life if you look up his real height. And then like Jill, he's only like I think a few inches. And a lot of people were like, "Oh, well, she was in heels." And you're like, "Yeah, but she's always in heels. She was in heels." There are people showing photos of them normally walking next to each other, and then photos and the videos of them walking together next to each other later. And like she's like it's not. I mean, you can see them walking next to each other. I mean, I guess maybe you could say the angles are a little bit off. But like it's such a height difference. That you're like, that's like some dude that's like 4 inches taller at least. You know?
Yeah, I'm talking about. There's a video where he literally looks like he's 9 feet tall. That
one
just
was fucking awesome. Though.
that one just has to
I
be
love that shit.
perspective. But like I did see other ones. Once again, I did see other ones where I'm like, he does look taller. Like I gotta give it to you. He does look taller.
Yeah, so that dude's dead, right? Is that what we're coming to?
Yeah.
I'm like borderline convinced. Like, it's funny they keep trotting him out and they're like in these weird scenarios, but every scenario is odd. And you're like, dude, this did not convince me he's alive. I don't know. Maybe I'm just way too skeptical at this point, but you're like, what the fuck? What is going on here?
I think Uncanny Valley is the best way to put it. He might not be dead. He might but it's not. That's not the guy. That's not the guy you've been showing us for fucking 3 years.
All right, guys, we're gonna move on over to the call-in portion of the show. But real quick, I do want to let you guys know that today's episode was brought to you by Nadeau Shave Co. If you're tired of that razor burn irritation and those ingrown hairs, these are your guys. Big Shave's been siding the American people for decades. Go back to traditional shave. You only need that expensive nonsense. You can shave like your granddad used to, whether you're doing your whole face or just edging up. The single blades give you a barber-grade shave for a fraction of the price. Upgrade your system. The standard issue includes one safety razor and a box of 100 stainless steel razor blades. $75 for the whole year. I mean, they say a year, but I mean that's what you make it. How long you make it work? I mean, let's be real. You can make it last longer. Also, if you shave on the regular, you might want to consider the Quarter Shave Club. That's about 25 cents per replacement blade. He's also got shave lathers now, so go check that out. It's good stuff. I shave with that. This is a COVID mandate refusing company too. His company was born out of that. He got booted from the military, needed to do a little entrepreneurialism to get by, and here we go. Fucking free market in action. Use code Jose for 10% off your order at NadeauShaveCo.com. All right, guys, we're going to get into the call-in portion of the show now. Let me bring up the number for you, 941-281-5857. We're going to also start going to the chat. For like any particularly questions. So Jules, if you do want to like look around, if you see stuff that's like questions, you can bring those up. But yeah, if you guys want to call in, now is your time. If not, well, cool. Fuck you too, I guess. Fucking wild world we're living. Let's find a chat to break the ice with. I do got to point out, I was noticing the chat. There was a big argument going back and forth about which is better, America or Canada? Because I guess that you triggered them with saying America's the best or something. Yeah,
not bad, dude.
Canada's gay. I'm gonna go on record and say that Canada's gay.
Canada's super gay.
Yeah, Canada seems super gay, dude. It's America every time.
Are super fucking gay. Did you see that Islam Makhachev, or the Dagestani champion? He tweeted about the fucking Olympics. He's like, it was like a parallel of of 2014 Russian Olympics versus the 2024 French Olympics. And it's like these fucking, classic ballroom dancing between like, clearly male and female, classic conservative coupling. And then you have like the fucking tranny with the beard. It's like, it's honestly hilarious. And then Islam Makhachev was like, Paris Games is a shame and dark stain on Olympic movement. We should bring it back to Russia again to fix everything. But I just thought it was a hilarious thing.
I didn't like the Olympics because did you see the blue guy with the red beard? I had people tweeting at me going, Andy, I didn't know you were at the Olympics.
Oh, fuck, dude.
Did you see that one dude has balls out? I don't know if that's legit or if someone just did really good Photoshop. But like,
so fucking funny.
No way. Like, for real, that dude has nuts out. Well, it's fucked up. He was literally like fucking leaning on the one little fucking kid they had there or whatever, which is like,
that was crazy.
You rubbing your balls on a kid, you fucking weirdo.
Dude, and there's just legit the symbolism, bro. Like the occult imagery. Like, what the fuck? When you study any of it, it's they're not hiding shit. They just expect you to not be a paranoid schizophrenic and pay attention to any of the patterns. And it's not even patterns at this point.
Wasn't there an Olympics one? Like, I feel like this is common. They do weird shit like this, and you're like, what are they saying? I feel like there wasn't there an Olympics one. Wasn't there an Olympics one a while back? And people pointed to a lot during COVID, and they're like, look, they predicted it. And you look at it and you're like, Yeah, maybe. Like, you know what I'm referring to? I maybe if I find out,
Might have
maybe
been
I'll have to.
COVID related.
Yeah,
I'm
because
not
I remember
entirely sure,
there
though.
was so much symbolism that very much was like death, plague. There was even like a little thing that looked just like the little COVID fucking molecule or whatever the fuck they used to show.
Yeah, yeah.
And you're
That
like,
was it,
and
that was
you're like,
it.
this was before. I can't remember how long before, maybe like 4 years or more. And you're like, what the fuck are you telling me?
That stuff's very weird. It's always, I'm not as deep into it, so I know for me it's hard to tell. But at the same time, when you see drag queen Last Supper, and I know people were saying it wasn't actually the Last Supper, like just like normal people, just like regular
Didn't the fat bitch
uninitiated.
admit to it though? I think like they acknowledged like
I have
that
no idea.
they intended to actually symbolize the Last Supper, which I was just like, holy shit! Like one of the models actually, which is like this obese lady that's like fucking. It was hilarious.
But like either way, even the most normie person who doesn't know any of this shit, they're like, "The fuck is that? Why?" Like we're playing sports. Why do you have to be like? By the way, here's like 7 drag queens.
Right.
It's weird.
Yep. Yeah. Honestly, it really does help to further ratchet up tensions. The ideological prison that I mentioned, like. It just they're more entrenched than ever before, and every time you see something like that, right? Like
we got a call, guys. I'll go set that up. You guys keep going.
I don't know. I was too distracted by how hard Kojiro went at the beginning. That was actually sick as fuck.
Right.
But did you see, I'm curious if you saw this. Did you see when we were doing my other podcast, my music podcast, my co-host Pat pointed out Snoop Dogg had like a weird, he had like a weird medallion on that you're like, that's nothing else. That's only this
like
weird
Baphomet,
satanic
right?
shit.
Yeah. It looks like Baphomet.
Yeah.
It looks like the goat's head. People can make the argument that is not the occult version of the goat's head, and that it was a reference to like, I'm the greatest of all time, I'm the goat. You can make that argument, but like he swims in the circles, right? And by the way, nobody's fucking mentioning Diddy. Did that image of his entire backyard being a bed just recently surfaced? Is that new shit? Or is that fucking because I saw it recently that like his entire backyard was fashioned into a bed. And it was just like, Diddy, not the time, bro. Like, what are you doing, man?
All right, let's hold off on that. We have a caller. You are on Already Dead with Austin, Jose, and our guest, Andy Malafarina. Keep in mind, it's just me and you talking. They can hear you, but you can't hear them.
Yeah. So the only question I had for you guys, speaking on the occult symbolism stuff, what's your guys' opinions on the Denver airport and all that symbolism going on? I actually live in Colorado, so I was just kind of curious what you guys have to think or have to say about that.
All right, good question. All right, man, I'll let you go unless you have something else to do, and we'll something else to ask, and otherwise we'll keep moving.
Just want to say, keep doing what you guys are doing, and I love you, Austin.
What's up, buddy? I think I know who that is.
Yeah, he says he thinks you know who you are. He says he loves you too. But all right, we'll let you go. Call in again sometime. All right, see you, man.
All right, thank you.
All right, bye.
My only because I don't know. I know people have theories about the Denver airport, and I'm sure every single one of them is true. I know nothing about it, but my only reference to the Denver airport is I used to have a coworker that would call me retarded for every single conspiracy, and then we'd bring up the Denver airport. He's like, "Oh, but that's all 100% true." I go, "No, you can't do that. You can't shit on all of them and then be 100% on Denver airport." But I'm glad he asked that question. I don't know fuck all about the Denver airport.
Dude. I don't know much. I think the extent of my experience or understanding is maybe like, I think when Jesse Ventura had that conspiracy show a while ago, he did an episode on it. That was years and years ago. I remember that. And it's like, I do remember there's a lot of weird symbolism and a lot of, I think they lean into it. I forget what even the crux of the conspiracy, like
crazy, bro.
There's so many different angles. People are like, oh, this is lizard people. This is like,
there you go. That's the portrait.
Yeah.
display.
If Jules, I know you're in the background, Jules. I don't know if you know more. This seems like it'd be up your alley. If you do, we can bring you on. You can tell me real quick. You're trying to talk. You got to bring you on. What's up, man? There you go.
What's up, guys?
Yeah.
No, man, it just seems like a bunch of end time symbolism.
Yeah.
Very apocalyptic.
I know there's been a lot of controversy over the how long they were
See if we can find another picture.
Building the facility. Then also when after it was built, it was under construction in this weird area of the airport that raised a lot of questions, and people were claiming that there's plans for a lot of underground building as far as what they had been actually constructing at the time was more than an airport. And so there's and then also why there would be all the occult imagery, I think, was basically the location itself held some significance, which I don't
Shit
recall
on a
any
ley
of the
line?
details. Yeah, that's what I mean, man. That shit, dude. As much as it's ridiculous, it's people put a lot into the ley line and natural energy that you can harness and basically utilize to for occult ritual purposes and different things of that nature. But it's something about tapping into some energy force that I'm not entirely aware of and I don't understand, but it is fascinating.
I think I remember something too. People have said there's been a lot of UFO sightings there or some shit. I don't fucking know.
That as well.
Yeah,
I know his name is Lucifer.
Yeah, that was part of it
that's
too.
Something right there.
Yeah, that's bad vibes. That's bad vibes.
Weird.
Hey guys, we're not occultists.
We'll put that in the weird category at least.
Definitely.
Apparently, the person who built him, two of its builders died while building it. They fell on them and shit. It's like a cursed object or whatever.
Dude.
Yeah.
I mean, didn't a bajillion dudes die building a soccer stadium in Qatar? I think dudes just die.
Yeah. The same with
but I don't know. It's the lore behind it.
Yeah. No, I hear you.
I'd like to think he died because of it. I'm like, no, you died because you built it. And you named it fucking Lucifer.
Does it have...
Jesus, that's it at night?
What the fuck?
There's no way its eyes glow like that. I saw its eyes were red, but there's no way it glows at night.
No.
Right?
That's not
evil as fuck, dog.
He's just all in on Bitcoin. That's what that is. That's his profile picture.
I can't. There's not. They took some off the internet. It seemed. I'm sure I can only find these couple pictures on Google. Obviously, we could probably search, but I didn't know if I wanted to dive into that. Oh, here's another one. Hold on.
What the fuck?
Or is that just the same one? Just fucking. Oh yeah, it's the same.
Yeah, there's a lot of weird. Oh yeah, that is biblical shit right there.
Yeah, that's kind of fucking cool. What are these, man?
Dude, there's children and drenched in blood and shit too.
Is it like a
y'all see these?
What the?
Yeah, and I don't want to look at that while I'm eating Chick-fil-A.
Yeah, we're just going on vacation, you know.
It's just across from a Jamba Juice.
Each other out and fucking worship Ishtar, dude.
That is fucking weird.
It's like if you gave someone fucking a bunch of shrooms and you were like, draw biblical shit.
Yeah, it's the cover it's the cover to a prog rock album.
Yeah.
It says very apocalyptic.
Well, all right. I don't. Someone brought up the Georgia Guidestones. We haven't heard much about them since they blew up. I don't know what the fuck's going on with that. Oh, are you planning on doing a NASA episode? We're gonna let you go, Jules. All right, we're past that. All right. Sorry, I didn't mean to move him so unceremoniously. That felt rude.
Yeah, I'm definitely planning on that. I think Nicholas has hit me up before on
Parsons.
This, but I do owe him, honestly, because it would be a more fun episode. I think. I don't fucking know.
Wasn't Parsons old butt fucking with fucking Crowley and shit?
Yeah, and L. Ron Hubbard. They're jerking off onto fucking these fucking
crackers.
I forgot.
You eat the cracker this time.
Occult stones and shit. These tablets that they're trying to do rituals in.
Oh my god, they had jerk off crystals.
Dude, I'm not even fucking around.
Have you ever heard the lore of jerk off crystals? Does anyone remember those memes?
You're telling me
Yeah.
Aleister Crowley was playing Ookie Cookie? That's disgusting.
Okay, yeah. There's a deep lore of memes. This is like way back in the meme.
Really?
But there was like this like some meme where it was like jerk off crystals, and it would be like it was almost making fun of like health communities, but then like kind of like weird gay shit, and be like, oh, you want to charge our JO crystals together?
That's hilarious, bro. Dude. Yeah, they were 100% doing that, and they were all affiliated with the OTO Lodge in Pasadena, which a lot of people believe is the primary, like, as far as ground zero for like bringing in the occult Aleister Crowley vein and the underground occult network more into the forefront of like individuals in society that were, let's say, members of the clergy or like politicians, and they would have one identity presenting for public consumption, and then behind the scenes they would go to this house in Laurel Canyon and fucking have these weird satanic sex magic orgies and shit. And this isn't at all
As
like
you do.
You're right. And I mean, when you look at like Burning Man and shit, dude, like this is modern day occult practices all day long. And especially when you have all these Silicon Valley, elites, right? Oligarchs is what they amount to, honestly. And they all lean into every single aspect of this, including like you look at all the, which by the way, I will do a NASA episode. It will fucking happen, dude. I promise. I don't know if it's going to be the next upcoming one, but it will be soon. But yeah, in just researching in any of this shit, when it comes to who could potentially be influencing the modern political paradigm in this very current moment, it's hard not to see these patterns, especially when you read Whitney's work. And like I think William Ramsey just had on John Brisson, who he's awesome. He was a great resource in regard to the Finders cult when I covered that with you. And man, you sit there and you start to question it, because honestly, dude, you look at the timeline and it's like, all right, basically Zuckerberg comes out and says that Trump is going to be allowed back onto Meta and Instagram. Then you have the assassination attempt, which softens his public image to really that side of the political spectrum. I'm just being honest. Whether you can disagree, I guess, but I think that it definitely, that at the very least there was an element of that involved.
Yeah, Iran was trying to help him out, help out his image.
Like, what the fuck, man? And then
for those who don't get it, real quick, the one of the things immediately after, they never said that attempt was Iran, but they planted the idea that we heard tell of an Iran assassination plot, but it's not. We're not saying it's this one, but you're obviously trying to make the mental link there, which is completely bullshit. But like, why the fuck would they do that?
Jose, speaking of the assassination attempt, I thought of this the second, because you're like, you were kind of the OKC dude for a while. And then when the Trump thing immediately happened, I was like, oh, Jose's ears got to be perking up, because they were like 2 shooters. And then very quickly they were like 1 shooter.
Yeah, there's a lot of shit there. By the way, for those who are interested, I have Ken coming on, Ken Silva coming on Thursday. And we're going to kind of cover what we know about it, because he has been just fucking...
Dude, he's been going hard.
Yeah, he's probably like fucking eyes bugging out. He's been just churning out work. It's fucking nuts. You're like, I can't keep up with it. So we're going to kind of go over what we know. And we'll do it in the way of... obviously, I'll probably wildly speculate a little bit, but we'll bring it back to earth with an actual reputable journalist with me. So... But yeah, no, there's a lot of weird shit. I don't know how much he's covered... I don't know, there's so much information all over the place with this stuff, on the ground stuff. But there is something to the second shooter thing. There's a few different things. For one, the water tower angle. There was a video out recently that came out that was it looked like you saw a gun flash coming from the first floor. Right. Which I don't know if you saw that one, where you're like, whoa, what the fuck's going on there? Because a lot of people know that building that he was in was literally I don't know if it was police or Secret Service. Some of the security detail, whether it was police or Secret Service, was literally in the building that he was on top of. So it's like, that would be kind of the perfect spot. You're like, you have your patsy up top, and you're like, so you have the same exact trajectory, so I don't know, but
that's how I interpreted it.
yeah, but I mean, I know you were kind of maybe implying a little bit that it was like a faked stage. I'm still like open to that idea, but I still am like leaning more towards like that it was like it went bad. But I don't fucking know. Like it's kind of like this is too goddamn perfect, and it's like these people that rule above us. Like it's like if you look at like understand the CIA, these motherfuckers were like trained by magicians and shit. Like.
Yeah.
Like they're literally all about fucking deceit and like you know fucking with your perception. So it's like all you gotta do is like one little fucking sleight of hand. Oh, look over here. Oh, this thing's going on over there, and you're like, and it's like not that hard, dude. Nigga still has an ear. Like nothing happened to his fucking ear. Like you're like, dude, like I don't. I mean, I'm not saying that's fucking proof, but it's like, dude, like that ear's fucking.
People think it's so ridiculous to mention the hyper reality filmmaking that I did last week, and the military grade moulage and the fucking blood squibs with artificial blood, and you know, you have assemblies with the artificial blood that will help it actually like naturally in a way look natural when you're allegedly bleeding with the fake.
I mean,
blood,
it would be easy to pull off. Like the only part that I feel like might be risky is just that you're opening yourself to a lot of risk of like if you get one thing wrong, if one person catches this thing, because there are people there. I
don't believe that kid was shooting, dude. Like I don't believe he was shooting live rounds. I just don't like at this point. I am open to being convinced otherwise, but this seems so fucking dumb. Like he seems like a patsy, brother. Like
I mean, even the starting point. I don't even think we really have come to. I don't think we really even know that this motherfucker is the motherfucker he said it was. What do we have to go off of just so that they go, it's him?
Yeah. No, and there's all these allegations about these devices that were attached to him and his property that had gone to this Five Eyes area where like nothing but intelligence buildings.
Dude had homemade explosives. Which is like a hallmark of every fucking glowy op ever. Exactly. Dude had a fucking pipe bomb.
Yeah. Like James Holmes had fucking bombs. You know what I mean? Like back at his apartment.
At least he was believable. Like that dude could probably make it. If you put his mind to it, he could have made some bombs.
But that neurological institute that he was attending at the time of all of this happened, being described as a fucking leader and all this shit, you know, it legitimately that same neurological institute has direct connection.
Sorry, Nicholas Lisa would take a trained kayfabe WWE master to pull off a fake shooting attempt. Oh wait,
dude, he's in the Hall of Fame. Well, I was gonna say that earlier, like that they do that in WWE. They blade and shit, like.
Yeah,
I'm not certain of anything. I just think to like completely dismiss it as a possibility is a fucking mistake. I mean, we know that they employ crisis actors in DHS. We know that it's happened before. I mean, if you believe the official narrative on the Boston bombing, I continue to bring it back up in reference to this because it's like one of the most blatant examples you can point to where I fucking don't really believe that anybody died at the finish line, guys. I just don't, man. I honestly think that entire crowd was crisis actors. Like it's fucking nuts. And the way that they actually use the pyrotechnic devices and throw the smoke, all the people immediately get into position. It's so fucking crazy when you watch the videos and then the overlays. And then, you know, at the very least, you have to consider it. And that's what I think is most important, is that don't let this be the kingmaker event that they want it to so desperately to be, which has already happened. But it was
inevitable.
Trump, it was inevitable, 100%. But they're worshiping this guy as 100, like, and then to hear, I love my Christians, dude. That's so fucking hilarious to me, you know.
Dude,
like,
and the motherfuckers leaning into the Iran stuff like hard.
You heard,
like, I guess not like hard, but more like nudge. Like,
I don't.
Hey, if
know.
I died, you guys should like really blow Iran off the map.
Like, the face of the earth.
Yeah,
like, I mean that's not.
I mean, I heard some cope, and to be fair, I didn't actually like. I only saw a screenshot, so I don't know if it was like quote tweeting. So some people were saying that it was almost like he was poking fun at Netanyahu or something, as if that's what he wanted. Like, kind of like, I forget the context. But either way,
man,
I mean, but it's also like, I don't know, dude. Like, what the fuck?
Austin, if I could ask you, because I was actually on the new episode, No More Heroes, I was shitting on the concept of crisis actors pretty hard. But I think you're the fucking man. So I'm very,
Dude,
I'm very curious from your perspective. What is a crisis actor? Because I think like when you just hear it, people go, oh yeah, they just hire a bunch of people, tell them what to do, and then but like where do those people go? Like what's
Bingo, you got it. That's it.
That's just it. They just hire a bunch of people.
I think
they'd have their own people, but go on, Austin.
Yeah, they assume a false identity, right, for the crisis event. Right now, this is where you have like insane theories about like Donna Hawksprung, who was the original principal in Sandy Hook, and then allegedly was also. It could have been they used the wrong picture during the Sandy Hook crisis, and it wasn't actually Donna Hawksprung. But it turns out that that's the exact same image they use for a victim during the Boston Marathon bombing, who was running on behalf of the victims of Sandy Hook during the bombing. Yeah, during the parade. And you're just like, holy fucking shit, is this possible? And then you find out that Carlos Arredondo and the wheelchair parade with Jeff Bauman and how he's like, within weeks, he's like, dude, he lost both his legs up past his femoral artery and shit. Like, it's so fucking ridiculous that he's supposed to be sitting upright, right? And they're fucking wheelchairing him down to the EMTs, which nobody was allegedly ever really sent to a hospital either. So it's like, you have all of that. You have Robbie Parker before he goes on television after Sandy Hook, who goes, he's smiling, he's like fucking amping himself up to behave as if he just lost a child in a terrible crisis. I mean, it's just like, at a certain point, crisis actors do exist. They're clearly acknowledged to have existed and taken part in like Operation Urban Shield, which was the staged simulation the day of the Boston bombing that they had been running for years prior, but also this was one of the I think the green light ghost simulation. Basically, they didn't know, some of them weren't aware it would go live, and you have that all the time. And people need to realize like the dynamics of the intelligence agencies as well, right? Like I understand how it's hard for people to wrap their heads around it, especially in the digital age. But when you have things like Carbine 911, right? And which, it's an Israeli intelligence linked company that basically, if you make a call to it, it can extract any and all data from a consumer smartphone, and the technology will be utilized in the rollout of the 15-minute cities, basically, as part of the smart infrastructure, and light posts and things of that nature will eventually be able to call the authorities instead of a person. And it's basically this totalitarian technocratic state that we've been mentioning before. But you realize what they're actually capable of when you research the Vegas shooting, and everybody's like, all these victim witnesses and shit are all like, yeah, we had to give our phones up to the FBI for like a shitload of time. Then we got it back and all this shit was gone. Everything's deleted. Like, and it's interesting. So I'm curious, why haven't reports like that? I haven't been seeing any reports like that. I'm very open to the idea that firefighter was just sacrificed to make it even more of a realistic operation, as far as they have no qualms about sacrificing some peasant Trump supporter. They don't give a fuck. You know what I mean? And so to make the bullets real, while you have a patsy shoot blanks and draw everyone's attention away.
Yeah.
You sacrifice motherfucker.
No, I hear you. And that's where my brain goes usually. And like you were saying before with the different scenarios of the Trump shooter, I'm open to everything. Right. I think for me, I haven't like hit the point on.
Oh, it'd be hard to do, dude.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not saying that like
but no, I think for me, I get something that makes more sense. Like I listened to the audiobook, Terror Factory, basically breaking down all the FBI shit. And that just seems like their plan is, all right, we'll find a half retarded guy on 4chan and just keep nudging him in the right direction. And then mix that with what you just said, where it's just like, It's like, bro, they're down to kill a bunch of brown people over in Iraq, like by the fucking hundreds of thousands. You think they give a fuck about a couple of us? So I'm more inclined of like, let's nudge a retard and then let's have someone high up, maybe take out a couple people. So I could see definitely shit like that.
It's different. I think, I don't have a strong opinion with something like the Boston bombing, but I think, say, using that as an example, I could understand how there would be actors, something. All you would need is a large enough group to influence the opinion of the other people around. You make some sort of boom, and then all of a sudden you have a bunch of actors that are like all bloody or this or that, maybe a fake doctor here or two, and then you have some people going, freaking out. And then other people who are around are just like, now they're processing all this information. It just came out of the blue. They're like, what the fuck? And so they're like, they aren't like, this is fake immediately. They're like, I guess some shit just happened. Oh shit. Oh fuck. I was near a bombing. Fuck.
No,
and so now that's like, it grows from there. Like, so you don't really need a ton. It's like, that's why like these motherfuckers are all about like deception. They like literally play like it's like you ever seen like shit with like mentalists or even just magicians, just like where they do that sort of shit where you're like, they know how you're going to think. They know how to do sleight of hand or how to influence crowds in certain ways. So you're like, I don't know. It's not that much of a stretch. Now I do say like, I don't know. I guess I haven't really wrapped my head too much around like Shmandy Schmook, but like that one I do have a hard time believing. I mean, maybe like a person here or there, but I do struggle to believe it was completely like fake or something. Like,
I really want to talk to Tim, dude, because I've heard just so many different theories surrounding it, that it wasn't even a functioning elementary school for a time before this event even occurred. That could have been a definite way to control the area. I'm just saying, like, I'm very open to considering a lot of different things, especially when you have the dude and his fatigues like running through the fucking field with like, you know what I mean? And like, many different just ridiculous threads you can go down when it comes to these people, especially guys like Robbie Parker. Like, I don't know, man. Like, I was at a certain point, I was convinced that no children died there, and that was the one event that was entirely crisis actors. I 100% for a time believed that. Now I'm not entirely sure of anything because I haven't gone down and done the real deep dive as far as the rabbit hole of Sandy Hook.
All I know is something weird happened there. It's just, I know the official narrative is not correct. Well, that's all I know. It's bullshit.
I know
that thanks to me. So much.
I know for me, I don't have $1 billion, so I think it all 100% happened in the mainstream narrative.
And that's another aspect of it that makes me feel like it's such an op, is because I think it's been basically manufactured to be the third rail, right? The event you cannot question. And I understand it's because clearly the implication is a shitload of children were brutally murdered. So obviously, it's a tragic event, but I just think that wouldn't that be the one to utilize, right? So even if it did, occur the way they claim it did, they would still utilize it to set the precedent. And I think that's largely what Alex Jones has done with the lawsuit. It was really targeting the First Amendment. I mean, it's clearly what it is. And you have the same people on the conservative aisle. I kind of made that point when BX came on, which is like, when this event occurred with Trump, immediately, how fucking dare you? The firefighter died, motherfucker. People died. Literally what they said about Sandy Hook. Except
it's like, they're evil, right?
Well, that was the biggest problem with the Alex Jones trial. Is however you feel about it, they started off on a basis of like, all right, we already agreed he lied about it, and you're like, oh, well, you're already starting on like a bullshit basis. You know what I mean? So, and then when everyone sees once again, regardless how you feel about it, when you see the fucking payouts, like the amount of money everyone was getting, you're like,
even
like a FBI agent got some money. Like even the most normie people they're like, they could look at Alex Jones and go, yeah, he's a bad man, but that price point is fucking unreal.
No, yeah, for sure. But it's almost like, I mean, extraordinary to an extent because it's like a non-feasible number, basically. Like, what the fuck are you even throwing that number out there for? But
yeah, like some countries can't pay that amount.
Yeah, it's so funny to me. But I had mentioned the timeline that I found to be so fucking interesting in regard to this, and that was, I had said Mark Zuckerberg came out, right? He lets Trump back on Meta and Instagram, and then you have you have Elon immediately after the assassination attempt. He immediately came out and publicly endorsed Trump, right?
Yeah.
And Peter Thiel effectively did the same thing. And then you have JD Vance named within like 48 hours. You know, it was not long, right? And JD Vance, he perfectly represents this new right and this Silicon Valley oligarchy and the PayPal mafia that I mentioned last week as well. But like I said, man, they're all like super gay nerds. Like, they're legitimately gay. Like I'm pretty sure JD Vance is gay as fuck too. Like, in his book Hillbilly Elegy or whatever the fuck, his own grandma is like, apparently he's grappling with the idea that he's a homosexual, that he's gay.
Like,
and
in the book?
Yeah. And in his fucking book, and
grandma's like, "You ever sucked a dick?" And
yeah,
like,
and I heard John
like,
Brisson
"No."
say this just recently, that his grandma was like, "Yeah, have you ever sucked a dick, or do you want to suck a dick, or some shit like that?" Put it to him in those terms, and yeah, I just thought it was absolutely hilarious. But the
I
couch
don't know. I've never tried
it. yeah.
Can't know until you try, right?
Right.
Yeah. I will say that dude does need to chill in the eye makeup. Every picture I see of him, the eye makeup's way overdone. I get it. You have stage makeup. Like, that's how it works whenever you're like gonna be in a lot of pictures and stuff. But Jesus fucking Christ, dude, cool it. Like, you're not combating the gay fucking allegations. You know?
Yeah.
Like, you need to
and
tone
his
it down.
wife, by the way, they all fucking met, as well as he had met Peter Thiel when he went to Yale Law, I believe, when he studied law at Yale. And I think Peter Thiel himself even like claims to have met JD Vance there when he went and gave some sort of speech. And JD Vance met his wife there, who now at least is largely involved as an attorney for like tech lawsuits and shit like that. And then you have their involvement with like Ripple XRP and like crypto and like all these different, it's like all inclusive on the spectrum of the different companies that they're involved with. And it seems like they're all just sort of acolytes of Peter Thiel. And then he's sort of this kind of political kingmaker in this moment, and that his wealth has been largely, as far as like the public conception of it all, has really been based on all of this different, as far as like they're funding a marketing PR campaign to misrepresent who they are. And this affects like Elon Musk as well, which I think when you peel back the layers of the PayPal mafia and see nothing but DARPA, right? And then you realize that, you know, Biden created HARPA H or whatever the fuck, which is the health version of DARPA. And obviously the COVID-19 mRNA vaccine and the lipid nano molecule delivery system for the lipid nanoparticles, which is largely what people claim is basically breaking through your blood-brain barrier and giving you like prions disease or some shit, which is like mad cow disease and shit. There's so much like involved with, and Vivek Ramaswamy has a fucking company that like sued Moderna over patent violations over exactly what I'm talking about, which is this mRNA shit. And so you realize they're on every single front of not only that, you have Starlink. Elon Musk is providing, you know, advanced military applications in Ukraine and Gaza, right? On behalf of the military industrial complex. Every single one of these motherfuckers, all their contracts are government contracts. They swim like spooks everywhere. And by the way, Peter Thiel, he's gay as shit, and he like he believes in he's basically a eugenicist, you know, but also I think that he's involved with this sort of, I mean, adrenochrome. I mean, what else are you gonna call it? Because
the ambrosia.
Yeah, ambrosia, dude.
The little boy's
man.
blood shit. Well, I think it's like what, like young men blood, essentially. I think is what it is.
Yeah.
I mean, which
it's very.
It's the gateway drug to the good shit.
Yeah, it's really strange when you look into it, though. And the guy is fucking out of his mind. And he's basically references this company that got shut down originally because it was technically illegal what they were doing, and then they just created a new company under a different name. But that is what they were doing, is providing youthful blood to anyone who desired it for like $8,000 a fucking pop, and they claimed that it was for regeneration purposes, and that it was, it's fucking the age-old conspiracy of adrenochrome, that right now it's okay because you can call it this I forget what the new age term was, but it's like they have a term for it, and it's fucking hilarious. But beyond that, man, all their companies, to the fact that, just in reference to the fact that they're all such nerds, like all their companies are named after like Lord of the Rings
shit.
lore.
Yeah. Which I think they have some shit. It's like, I think they had multiple things. I was listening. There were like names of specific rings.
Dude, yeah.
Which, like, if you know the lore of the Lord of the Rings, that's not a good thing.
No.
Like, because it's kind of the idea of like, oh, here's this powerful thing, but it's going to corrupt you. Because I think one of them's named after one of the Elven rings. Because I'm a bit of a nerd, and I think there was 3 Elven rings. One was to Gandalf, one was to Cerebro, or the fucking one of the builders, or Caladan. I forget his name. And the other one was to Galadriel, and they had the 3 Elven rings. So
they have the Mithril is another one of his companies. Another
that's
one
not
of his
bad.
companies.
That's not evil, but
right. But one of the main company. I mean, his main company is Palantir. Which that alone, brother.
Yep.
Like, I was unaware. I didn't even make the connection that it was one of the 7 stones or the 7.
I don't know how I never put that together either. Yeah, Palantir is fucking Saruman's stone. It's like, dude. It's like a device used to be able to see across distances, talk to others.
You know what?
But it also has like an evil tinge to it.
He's about to make a restaurant called Second Breakfast. Sorry, that was my only input.
Well, all right, guys.
I'll just finish the definition of it. Is they say that it was this stone used for communication and intelligence gathering, right? And so I just thought that alone is like the core lore of Palantir itself is intelligence gathering. You know, I just found that to be a very interesting point. You know what I mean? Because they don't do that data for no reason.
Yeah. Well, all right, guys, let's get out of here. Andy, let our people know where they can find you at and what you're working on.
You can find me a lot of places. I do a bunch of podcasts. If you like comedy, I got my podcast with my buddies Nate Lemaire called Panties in the Mouth. It's a very good time once a week. I do a conspiracy politics podcast called No More Heroes with my buddy Pat, and then we do a music podcast called Drag the Lake, also with my buddy Pat. It's a good time. And now that I'm in Austin, I'm doing the comedy shit. I got a lot of free time. So go to twitch.tv/Andy Malafarina. Most days during the week, I will be streaming and we can talk about all this shit. I don't know nearly as much as Austin and Jose, but we can talk all this shit if you guys want. So twitch.tv/Andy Malafarina. Hang out with me there.
Drag the Lake. That's a Amity Affliction reference, right?
No, it is actually an Every Time I Die reference. And then when I made the podcast and I did not fucking realize it was an Amity Affliction song, and I was a little annoyed. No, there's the song Floater by Every Time I Die. And during the breakdown, they yell Drag the Lake. And it's like, I don't know. It's my favorite song of theirs.
Well, the Amity Affliction one's pretty cool too, but
yeah, I just wish there was something that wasn't a popular band song that I named the podcast, but
you're trying to be more niche. Yeah.
No, just every time you Google our name, they're like, "Did you mean the Amity Affliction?" I was like, "No, go to the pod."
Yeah, I mean, this one. Do you know the reference of this show? I mean, it's like one of many. There's like multiple references there. It's multi-layered.
No.
Already Dead. Silverstein.
Oh, okay.
Silver scene reference.
That's very sick.
Although it's also the Malcolm, it's like kind of like a multiple layers to it. But anyways, all right, Austin, let people know where they can find you, bud.
All right, brother. Yeah, just definitely subscribe to the YouTube at the Underclass Podcast, the Instagram at the Underclass Podcast as well. My Twitter is at Underclass Pod. And yeah, that's about it, man. Check out my most recent episode on Kinkora. And I should have another one out by next week. I'm going to try and get some more content out a little more often. So,
hell yeah, man. What you working on? Do you have any idea or no?
Man, I'm like deeply invested with the psychopath machine narrative and this modern Manchurian theory that it's not really a theory, but anyway, I'm definitely digging and pulling at that thread, but also like I feel like I owe Nicholas a NASA episode, so I'm gonna have to fucking do it, at some point. And I don't know, I just have already been going down this other direction, so we'll see what happens.
Hell yeah, man. All right, well, if you guys like what I'm doing, you can follow me on Twitter at TowerGangJose. Also, I'm on YouTube, all the major art publishers, Rumble as well. This goes out to that. I also do we do these live streams every week. So I saw someone who's here the first time. Good discussion, new sub. Hell yeah! Well, go check out some of my old stuff. We do this once a week, and I also usually do like a more like topic-driven episode as well. Like I said, on Thursday I have Ken coming on. That will be behind the paywall for a week. And also go up like next Friday. So if you want to be able to get that early, it's patreon.com, just No Way Jose 2020. The lowest level, that's $2. That's the early stuff. That also allows you, if you want, to come on as a talking head to talk with us, and we'll give you the StreamYard link. That's also on Austin's Patreon as well. So be sure to, do both, support both of us if you could. But yeah, also the highest levels are my sponsors. I read them off every episode. Toad is my co-host on Tower Gang. At Tower Gang Toad. Also have at Abrogate D's, at ZOVERACK. I also have at _Infinite Zeal. Fuck that up. Jacob Daniel of the Biblical Anarchy podcast, at Biblical Anarchy. The homie Tim Tuttle, at Jolly on Klebold. Then Will Bell has this delicious blueberry wine. Rabbit Eye is the name of it. Go get it online. It's good shit. But yeah, I appreciate everyone who came out today. Yeah, this is a fun one, guys. Oh, a big shout out to our new producer, Jules. He has a Gray Pilled show. Go check that out. I'm waiting for more Anunnaki shit, but yeah, I appreciate him jumping up to be the producer, so he'll be the new guy behind the scenes. So you guys can blame him for everything that's wrong, even if it's me. But I'll blame it on him. All right. But yeah, we'll see you guys next week. Pop in then. Bye.